everybody. Welcome back to the Moose Club. It's been a little while since we've done a COVID update. And I believe this will be the first one since Biden took office. Kind of a quick kind of overview of where we're at now. I saw the United States, we passed 450,000 deaths today, which is no bueno. That accounts for roughly 20% of all deaths in the world in COVID. So we're killing it, literally and figuratively. In terms of kind of the trend lines, though, new cases have been on a pretty steady decline over the last 30 days, which is good. Just looking at the charts, and I'll put these charts up here in the podcast, but the deaths are pretty much staying pretty level. Like the 7-day average is just over 3,000 for deaths and just over 140,000 for new cases. So cases declining, but deaths are kind of staying flat, which I guess all things considered, it's not going up. So, I mean, if we're trying to glass half full crowd, then I guess that's the case there. But but with all that said, what do you guys think of just in general, a month into the job, almost, the Biden administration and how they're dealing with COVID? I know they're pushing for a big COVID stimulus plan, but in terms of how they're actually taking on dealing with the virus, what do you guys think? Joe, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so far so good. It seems like you have a coordinated response. You have a COVID team that's up in the briefing room without, Trump, Mike Pence, or, God knows whoever interrupting them, telling them to inject bleach into their bloodstream. So you have this coordinated, effort. Big reason why these, cases are going down is because of, just getting through the holiday, rush or the holiday spike. So naturally it was going to go down a little bit, and it'll continue to go down, I feel, with a more vaccine rollouts. And but the Biden administration really came into a cluster. I mean, there's talks that for the first week and a half, 2 weeks, that they didn't even know how many vaccines the government had. There was no coherent rollout strategy of it. It was a mess. So basically just getting everything on the same page and everybody out and, communicating correct, stable information. There's a big help when you're trying to get a country through a pandemic.
Yeah, I know, just kind of looking here and kind of some of the things recently, they're boosting, vaccine allotments and financing for the virus and stuff. So that's good. And I think I saw that there's going to be 1 million vaccines distributed to a bunch, 5,000 or 6,000 pharmacies or something like that sometime soon, next week, maybe, I think, or 2 weeks from now. I'm not sure. So, I mean, it seems like they're with the Trump administration, with the Trump did the what's the defense authorization? No, what was that called? Was the defense authorization or whatever that one? Basically,
like the NDAA, I think.
Yeah. The national defense. Yeah. They didn't have any plan.
Never enacted it though.
Yeah, no, they didn't. He put it into motion, but then they had no plan for it at all. Which, but it sounds like the Biden administration has been using that effectively thus far, so that's good. But what do you think, Bork? What are your thoughts on COVID and Biden administration so far?
I think so far so good. I mean, what'll really determine it is moving forward, and I think it is probably a bit too early to tell, is how efficient are we able to get vaccines to people now is the biggest hurdle that states are now kind of running into for one reason or another. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if some of that COVID money, which it definitely is, I don't remember the exact dollar amount, is dedicated to vaccine administering programs. So depending on how effective that money is spent at the state level and actually administering the vaccines, I think that'll be a big determining factor of, you know, looking back on how well they do at this time. Because, you know, right now it seems like, yeah, they're doing everything that they can given what it seems like they walked into, which is not much of any sort of planning or coordination or it just seems like they have had to build from the ground up. So it's kind of early to tell, but you know, we will see. But the next hurdle is not necessarily vaccine production, because it seems like there's news of a new vaccine being approved by, you know, the FDA every other day. Now we have a single shot vaccine finally, which is, you know, very effective still, all things considered. So, you know, I think there's a lot of promise, but you know, the hurdle of getting those vaccines to people will still exist. Whether they can get over that, you know, we'll see.
Yeah, it's I'm reading here, there's a CNN article from today where Fauci says that 70 to 85% of Americans need to be fully vaccinated for a return to normal. And so far, we are at less than 2% being vaccinated. So,
right.
I know that with the whole Biden goal of 100 million vaccines in the first 100 days, you know, I mean, yeah, like you said, like there's the availability of the vaccine doesn't seem to be the issue. There's more new ones getting approved. There's another one,
right?
That's the Novavax one or something like that. It's supposed to be approved this summer.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, I mean, I think the plan from the Trump administration to kind of leave it up to individual states to, you know, get it out to people, like I understand that thinking. It just, if you've, I mean, I guess if you've just been paying attention to American politics for the last 100 years, you probably could have guessed that that wasn't going to exactly work out the way it was drawn up on paper. So I mean, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I think the message of get vaccinated so things can go back to normal can be effective. I think it's because it's not only getting the vaccines to the people, it's convincing a lot of the population that
sure,
you need to get the vaccine, that it's, you know, it's the right thing to do. So I don't know. But with that said, we'll see what happens. But in terms of the COVID relief, I saw that Biden essentially, they're going to try and just, the GOP doesn't want to play ball, so they're just going to forge ahead and try and figure something out. I know Biden's kind of left the door open. You know, he's not necessarily, I think he said he's not married to any idea of the size of the relief bill or who gets what benefits and stuff. But I know the Republicans wanted the cap to be like 50,000 for an individual and 100,000 for a couple, which, I mean, that's better than nothing, I guess. But like that leaves out a whole lot of people that do. I mean, it's such an arbitrary thing. Like $50,000 in one place is not the same as $50,000 in another place. So like, it's just because somebody's making $60,000, you know, in New York City, like they need COVID help. They need, you know, but what do you guys think of the prospects of getting a stimulus package? And is it going to be, are the Republicans going to be successful in kind of just watering it down and making it a, you know, a kind of a toothless relief plan?
Well, I don't think it's on the Republicans right now. I mean, what that bill comes down to is what the most conservative Democrat is willing to vote for. So, because I'm pretty that make no mistake about it, that bill is heading towards budget reconciliation. Like that's the only that's the only way you're gonna get a bill, like an actually good COVID bill, Because you can either get a good COVID bill or you can have the one that the Republicans will vote for, but you can't have both. So hopefully we go the good COVID bill route and just, okay, this is what we're going with, and you're gonna thank us when you get to run on your state's economy improving drastically more than this tiny stimulus that would not help and address anything. Because they're already looking at post COVID to go for another big like infrastructure bill is kind of what they're heading towards. So there's no reason, I don't think in my mind, that they shouldn't just already be heading towards that route and just bypass all the Republicans, because they're gonna, I mean, there's already been people, I'm pretty sure Schumer has already said it, that we're not going to go through this entire process of negotiating with the Republicans for a bill and they don't even end up voting for it in the end. So so it'll literally just be what Democrats can negotiate with among themselves. So that's what it'll be to look out for in the coming COVID legislation.
Yeah, that's a good point. What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think it makes any sense to work with Republicans right now. I mean, at least with, just people that aren't even being in, good faith listening. Nobody complains about reconciliation when, the last 4 GOP tax cuts worth trillions and trillions of dollars have gone through reconciliation. So I don't understand why all of a sudden it's on the burden of the Democrats to work with a party that just doesn't want to make government work. So, I mean, I agree with Bork, just like the Biden administration has said, you can work in good faith, you can try and hash it out, but there's no sense of doing this bill if you're not going to have proper response. And even myself, I'm upset with kind of the messaging from Biden's administration tonight or today about, lowering the income, threshold. It doesn't make any sense because anybody that's making under $50,000, they're probably more likely to have their job cut during coronavirus. So if they get any like sort of relief, it's not going to be going towards the economy. It's going to be going to like basic like human needs. It doesn't make any sense. And it's just the same argument we've had with, student debt payoffs and the minimum wage hike. Like if you want, to save the economy, you're looking at investing in not only in, relief for the people that really need it, but also investing in people that can use the extra money to vitalize your economy. And, cutting $25,000 off of the threshold, you're really getting down to the, bare knuckle people that actually, just need this money to live, instead of just talking about the people that you need to, stimulate the economy with. So.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. I mean, somebody making $50,000 in Wyoming is in a much better financial situation than somebody making $60,000 in New York City. It's such a silly way to just make it, across the board for the entire, it doesn't really make sense.
Well, the next problem we'll start running into is what happens when eviction moratoriums run out.
Yeah.
I mean, they're like, that moratorium isn't just like a magical money eraser. Like that money in theory has to be, I mean, it doesn't really, but it does have to be repaid to like someone at some point. So
right. I mean, those landlords owe money, they have obligations.
Right. Yeah. Right. So like someone owes that money, and I mean, go down the chain enough, and it is essentially Federal Reserve that just owns that money. So like, it could be kind of, hey, yeah, don't worry about that. We're good here.
Yeah. No, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I don't know. I think for all this talk after the election from Republicans just looking for an exit ramp, and all of a sudden, the calls for working together, and that lasted almost no time at all. I mean, they're already like not playing ball on pretty much anything. So, which isn't surprising, but yeah, the reconciliation route, like you mentioned, I think that's the only way it gets done. And credit to the Democrats. I feel like in the past they would have tried going down this route of working out a deal. And I think this time their eyes are wide open and they're just like, we're not even going to play this. They've already started getting the pieces in order for the reconciliation process. So go ahead.
Like I know you know better, but just to communicate this with like other people is like people acting like the Democrats are just taking their ball and going with it alone. Like they made a hell of a lot more effort to get people on board than any Republican tax cut of the last 30 years. So anybody that's whining saying that
To a fault, the Democrats have tried to work with Republicans, some would say.
Yeah, I mean, I agree.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. How hilarious it is now the Democrats are actually like, hey, we have an agenda and we're going to try and do something with it. The Republicans are like, oh my gosh, where's the unity at?
Or like a majority, elected agenda too. Like this.
Yeah, that's so true.
So I mean, that's one thing that I always get frustrated with is just like the messaging, like, oh, we want a divided government. No, you don't. Like 8 million extra people voted for Joe Biden. Like that's a pretty good plurality. Like he got over 50%. So like 50% of the country wanted they trusted in Joe Biden. And if they don't like it when he comes up on the ballot in 4 years, that's fine. But they voted. It's his time.
Let's I saw kind of the last thought here was I did see that the White House press secretary today basically said that, Biden has a mandate to do COVID relief. So, I mean, yeah, they're just
Saki bomb.
Yeah, I mean, they have to has to be the top issue. I mean, it's the number one.
How can that even be in question at this point?
Right.
Of course, he has to do something. No more COVID about it. Like,
well,
that's just absurd. It's absurd to think that he, after this entire time of saying his party saying that, hey, we need a huge package to deal with this thing and not getting it done, that him winning an election over the guy who wasn't doing that. Like, of course he's going to do a big COVID package.
There are not a small percentage of folks on the other side that were under the belief that once the election was over, if Biden won and the election was over, then COVID was just going to disappear and it wasn't going to be an issue anymore. Like there was a lot of those that believe that COVID was this thing that was hyped up to derail Trump. And I mean, clearly we see we're still having 3,000 people die a week from COVID. So that's obviously not the case, but yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's good that we kind of are on track and have a plan now and they're trying to, execute the plan. And I think it'll be good. Real quick, last question here before we wrap this up. When do you guys think, just real quickly, do you guys think we'll kind of start to see things kind of go back to normal?
From COVID?
Yeah.
Oh, a couple years.
Oh, no, I mean, I'm talking being able to go to sporting events and go out to eat, not have to wear a mask out in public. And
I mean, in what sense? I mean, that's a pretty broad, I mean, there's different levels. I would say at the end of the year, you can start gathering, publicly on a regular basis.
Yeah, I think it's going to be sooner than that, actually. I think it'll be August, September.
I think you have a lot of faith in people getting the vaccine. I still think that.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I'm hopeful.
I think that's going to be a big obstacle. But anyways, yeah.
What do you think, Port?
I'm not sure. At first I thought maybe October, November, but then that's probably just the optimistic portion of me, and Joe's probably right. it'll be like the beginning of the relaxing, but we won't be like anywhere near normal at that point.
Sure. Okay. Well, COVID update, first one of 2021. How crazy is it that we're still talking COVID in 2021? I thought when this first happened last March that it was going to last like a few months, and that was like going to be.
That's what happens when you have shitty leadership.
Amen to that.
Elections matter.
True story. Make sure that everybody there watching likes, follows, shares, subscribes, Moose Club Pod. And then you can always look for us on Spotify and Apple Podcast by searching the Moose Club. Thanks for watching, and be on the lookout for future episodes.